So last season, the Sixers were 27th in the league for bench scoring points per game. During the NBA playoffs, they were just as bad, 4th worst among playoff teams, only ahead of Houston, Orlando, and Phoenix. Going back to the regular season, Quentin Grimes was the only player off that bench averaging 10 points or more. And then, of course, during the NBA playoffs, nobody was averaging above 10 points per game. Their leading scorer off that bench was once again Quentin Grimes at 6.7 points per game. Funny enough, we saw firsthand as Sixers fans what bench scoring can do for you in the NBA playoffs. Number one, the Sixers do not come back down 3-1 without Quentin Grimes going off in the second half in Game 5. And then against the Knicks in 17 minutes per game, that bench was averaging 34 points per game compared to the Sixers' 26 points per game. Going to the plus minus category, the Knicks bench was plus 25 compared to the Sixers' negative 21. One thing I can't really wrap my head around is the Sixers were able to add star power such as Jaylen Brown and LeBron James, but also add depth to the roster where they have more of that than they've had in the last 5 years. I mean, let's just go through it. During the offseason, I have made 2 breakdown videos on Dean Wade. Check those out if you haven't already. Shameless plug. I digress. With him on the floor in 1,251 minutes last season for the Cavaliers, plus 8.1 net rating. One common theme for him throughout his NBA career, when he's on the floor, his team is usually winning his minutes. He's also very valuable in the aspect where you can pretty much fit him in any lineup because he can play next to anyone. He doesn't need the basketball. He can shoot a 3. He can guard multiple positions. You get what I'm saying. And that same idea outside of shooting can be said about Dominic Barlow. In 1,534 minutes, the Sixers had a plus 1 net rating with him on the court, which is pretty impressive considering how many different lineups he was in. And the same thing can be said about KCP. Last time he was on a winning team, he was that guy that you can trust in any lineup with Denver. To put it simply, the Sixers just did not have that many options already off the bench. And I'm not even mentioning the main point of this video. We got to talk about Anfernee Simons. 14.9 points per game off the bench for Boston last season in 49 games. Not only that, but when he first comes in, he can play off the gravity of the stars on Philly. LeBron, Jaylen Brown, Tyrese Maxey, whoever, because last season he shot 42.9% on catch and shoot threes. On good volume as well, 3.6 attempts per game. And then once you get deeper into that first quarter, the start of the second quarter, that's when he can really get going on the basketball. And the reason why I brought those 3 bench defenders up in the beginning of the video is, think about it. Anfernee Simons, you want him to just come in the game and be able to focus on scoring and not have any load on defense. In theory, when the Sixers go deep into bench lineups, they should be pretty solid defensively compared to the opposing team's bench lineups. Most of the time, he should be in the proper role where they don't need much defense out of him, and hopefully that gets him consistently working on offense. What's the difference between him and Quentin Grimes? Honestly, you could probably make an argument if you didn't have defensive players off the bench like Dean Wade, Dominic Barlow, KCP, VJ's going to be in bench lineups. If you didn't have that, then maybe you would want a Quentin Grimes because he's going to bring you more value on defense for sure. However, Simons is just in a different ballpark in terms of offense because as a shooter, 6.6 three-pointers attempted per game throughout his NBA career, 38%. And keep in mind, he's doing on-the-dribble stuff, off screen, step back, side steps, tough shot quality. That man is going to be Embiid's, Maxey's, LeBron, Jaylen Brown's best friend because if you double off him and he catches, he's going to make the defense pay consistently. Over his entire NBA career, he has had so many great shooting years, but here's the thing. The last 3 years for three-point shot quality, F, and again, F. Because like I mentioned, he's taking tough off the dribble three-pointers. And that is what really sets him apart from Quentin Grimes in terms of shooting. Yes, 5.1 three-pointers attempted per game for Quentin Grimes, 36% over his NBA career, not bad. But compared to Simons, it becomes a little less impressive considering last season, yeah, he had bad shot quality D, but that was better than Simons. And then the year before that, C, and then the year before that, B. Because mainly his role is just catching and shooting. And mainly, those shots are open. Grimes over his entire career should be considered a solid shooter. Simons over his entire career, that's a great shooter. And then the second big thing that sets them apart is you can actually trust Simons to carry the offense in terms of being a on-ball creator, handling in the pick and roll and things of that nature. You saw early in the season last year, Nick Nurse was trying to get Grimes to do that, and it was like, nah, he belongs off-ball strictly. That's where you get the most out of him. A stat you really see that in is pick and roll ball handling. So it turns out Ant Simons for Boston was averaging .91 points per possession in the pick and roll as a ball handler, 64th percentile, so a little above average. Meanwhile, Quentin Grimes was averaging .79 points per possession as a pick and roll ball handler, 39th percentile, aka the bottom of the league. It's just going to be very nice throughout the regular season to have a ball handler like Simons because VJ was kind of the point guard in those deep bench lineups trying to carry the unit. I mean, the Sixers had to sign Cam Payne off the streets, and he was a breath of fresh air because he could run a pick and roll and get hot from three every now and again. And yes, of course, I love VJ getting his on-ball reps, and that's the good thing about Simons. Next to him, he can still get that because Simons can play off the basketball. But at the same time, through 82 games, you do not want the same scenario last season where it felt like in deep bench lineups, it was either one of our star players, Maxey or VJ, trying to carry the Watfords. Those caliber of guys who can't create for themselves off the dribble, night in and night out. And that's just not a recipe for success if you want to have maximum energy come playoff time. And to showcase his true value, I take you to a game November 23rd against Orlando. He had 23 points in 22 minutes off the bench for Boston, really swinging that game in their favor. Starts it off with a nice transition three, feeding off the gravity of Jaylen Brown. Between, behind the back, double between, crossover, step back. And now his defender's so worried about taking the three, he's drunk out there. See you later, floater. In transition, Euro stepper Rooney, kiss it off the glass. Foul baiting like a star, and he has the touch to finish. Catching in transition, too much airspace. Catching early in the possession, too much airspace. The defense has to guard him above the three-point line, and that's when he gets downhill and relies on the sweet floater. And in that film, you really saw the most underrated part of his game that I haven't really talked about. My guy is a legit three-level scorer at his best. Let's go over to B-Ball Index. Rim shot creation, 91st percentile. Rim field goal percentage, 78th percentile. Rim shot making efficiency, 99th percentile. Finishing talent, 92nd percentile. Mid-range talent, 97th percentile. Floater talent, 96th percentile. Professional bucket getter, and this roster is set up where they need a professional bucket getter during the regular season, and hopefully that expands to the NBA playoffs. Let me know your thoughts below.